kunja bihari. Gopi jana vallabha girivaradhari. Gopi jana vallabha girivaradhari. Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Shri Shri Radha Madhava ki jai. Prahlad Nrsimhadev ki jai. Panchatattva ki jai. All glories to the Assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to Shri Shri Guru and Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Naranam namaskritya naram chiva narotamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam virayat. We are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Third Canto, Chapter 22, The Marriage of Kardama Muni and Devahuti, Text 31. Kuśa-kāśamayaṁ barhir, kuśa-kāśamayaṁ barhir, āstīrya Bhagavatān Manu, āstīrya Bhagavān Manu, ayajat yajña-puruṣaṁ, ayajat yajña-puruṣaṁ, labdhā sthānaṁ yato bhuvam, labdhā sthānaṁ yato bhuvam, kuśa-kāśamayaṁ barhir, āstīrya Bhagavān Manu, ayajat yajña-puruṣaṁ, labdhā sthānaṁ yato bhuvam. Kuśa-kāśamayaṁ barhir, labdhā. Ladies. Kuśa-kāśamayaṁ barhir, āstīrya Bhagavatān Manu, ayajad yajña-puruṣaṁ, labdhā sthānaṁ yato bhuvam. Kuśa of kuśa grass, kāśa end of kāśa grass, mayam made, barhir a seed, āstīrya having spread, bhagavān the greatly fortunate, Manu Svāyambhuva Manu, ayajat worshipped, yajña-puruṣaṁ Lord Viṣṇu, labdhā had achieved, sthānam the abode, yataḥ from whom, bhuvam the earth. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Abhayacharana Arvinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Śrīla Prabhupada Ki Jai. Manu spread a seed of kuśas and kāśas and worshipped the Lord, the Personality of Godhead, by whose grace he had obtained the rule of the terrestrial globe. Purport. Manu is the father of mankind, and therefore from Manu comes the word man, or in Sanskrit manuḥya. Those who are in a better position in the world, having sufficient wealth, should especially take lessons from Manu, who acknowledged his kingdom and opulence to be gifts from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and thus always engaged in devotional service. Similarly, the descendants of Manu, or human beings, especially those who are situated in a well-to-do condition, must consider that whatever riches they have are gifts from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Those riches should be utilized for the service of the Lord in sacrifices performed to please Him. That is the way of utilizing wealth and opulence. No one can achieve wealth, opulence, good birth, a beautiful body, or nice education without the mercy of the Supreme Lord. Therefore, those who are in possession of such valuable facilities must acknowledge their gratefulness to the Lord by worshipping Him and offering what they have received from Him. When such acknowledgement is given, either by a family, nation, or society, their abode becomes almost like Vaikuntha, and it becomes free from the operation of the threefold miseries of this material world. In the modern age, the mission of Krishna consciousness is for everyone to acknowledge the supremacy of Lord Kṛṣṇa. Whatever one has in his possession must be considered a gift by the grace of the Lord. Everyone, therefore, should engage in devotional service through Krishna consciousness. If one wants to be happy and peaceful in his position, either as a householder or citizen or member of human society, one must promote devotional service for the pleasure of the Lord. Kuśa-kāśamayaṁ barhir āstīrya bhagavān Manu ayajad yajña-puruṣaṁ labdhā sthānam yato bhuvam. Manu spread a seed of kuśas and kāśas and worshipped the Lord, the Personality of Godhead, by whose grace he had obtained the rule of the terrestrial globe. Om Jnana-timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Mukhaṁ karoti vachalam pangum langayati girim yat kripatamaham vande Shri Gurun Vinatarinam. Vagishi yasya vadane Lakshmi yasya chivakshasi yasyaste hridaya samvitam nrisimham aham bhaje. Hare Krishna. So we read about the great personalities in Srimad Bhagavatam, the greatest persons in the whole universe, in the whole creation. Here we read about the original king. A little later in the chapter, at the end, Maitreya Muni will say that the reputation of Manu was such that it is worthwhile hearing about him. So we have this limited, short human life, and we want to use our time wisely. In other words, we want permanent gain. We want to gain something that will stay always, forever with us. And the best way we can use our time is to hear the good example of the great persons. So why it is worthy to hear about Svāyambhuva Manu and all these great kings? Because they show us how to live our life properly. If you noticed, many of those, maybe most of those examples in Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita as well, other Shastras, they are examples about family people. not renunciate so much. Also some of them, but mostly family people, because the family people, grihastas, they have wider range of facilities that they should engage in devotional service, and gives us better picture, better perspective. It goes into more details, how to live our life, how to connect everything to Krishna. Because the brahmacharis, the sannyasis, the babajis, the avadutas, they have very little possessions, and it's not so complicated to connect all this to Krishna. This is their duty. They have to directly engage everything in Krishna service. But it's more complicated with the family people. So therefore, we have all these beautiful examples of great kings like Svāyambhuva Manu. By hearing about them, we become inspired. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, "Yat yata charati shreshtas tatate vetaro jana, sayat pramanam kurute lokastatan vartate." We become inspired to follow their examples. We spontaneously think, I want to become also like these devotees. I want to be pure devotee also. Just see, they follow the process properly, and just see the results they got. Because this is the process. You have the theoretical knowledge, which is called jnana, and then by applying it, you gain the realization. It's always very, very interesting when you have the knowledge. It's very interesting how you apply it in life, and then the result you get. It's always very curious, exciting to be able to see with your own eyes, in your own life, how the process of bhakti works. But in order to do this, you have to apply it properly, to see the example. So why is this working? Because, as Chaitanya Charitamrita explains, Nitya Siddha Krishna Preve Sade Kabunai, Shravanadi Shuddha Chitte Kare Udoy. We are by nature pure devotees. And Srila Prabhupada explains this Krishna Prema is not something external, it is not superimposition, it is deep in our heart. This is who we really are, and if you want to be true to our true self, we should be pure devotees. People nowadays, they like to talk about authenticity, being authentic. And it's a big topic, but we know what is the true meaning of being authentic, because we have knowledge what is the nature, the dharma of the self. So because we are devotees deep inside, originally, therefore when we see how somebody else follows properly the process of bhakti, we naturally are drawn to it. We want to be like these people. And on the contrary, when we hear about materialistic people, then our dormant animalistic propensities, which are kept at bay by the mercy of the Lord, because we follow sadhana, we try to be good boys and girls. But Srila Prabhupada explains, Krishna is in the heart, but Maya is also in the heart. So if you're not careful, then by seeing the example, the bad example of these materialistic people, then the beast inside may be awakened. And therefore, when Mahaprabhu was requested by his devotees to see the king, Maharaja Prataparudra, Mahaprabhu declined on the ground that this is a person who deals very intimately with the material energy. So I am not supposed to associate with such people. When you see how somebody is enjoying the world, then it is likely that you also want to enjoy in the same way. Therefore, although Maharaja Prabhupada was pure devotee and Mahaprabhu knew very well, just to give example, he declined for the time being. Of course, later on, he gave the mercy to the king. And also Mahaprabhu said, asat sangatyagaya vaishnavachara. Giving up the association with materialistic people is the definition of bhakti, of a bhakta. So this bad asat sangha, bad association, may come directly, people talking to us, but may come also in a more sneaky, indirect way. For example, what comes to mind is very prominent lately, the last couple of years, social media. Social media is very popular amongst devotees. And there are several problems with social media and with all technology. The first thing is that there is no such thing as morally neutral technology. Every technology, behind it there is a person. The person who came up with the idea, the person who developed it. So these people, they have value system. And these values, these ideas about life, this philosophy, go straight into the technology they produce. It's embedded inside, it permeates the gadgets that we use. For example, let's say social media, it creates such a illusion. It puts you in a bubble, and you are in the center of this small universe. You're in the center. You're the center, the enjoyer, the controller, and then you're supposed to do what? You put pictures of the deity, and people are supposed to worship you. And not only your pictures, you put also pictures of your internal potency, of pleasure-giving potency. It comes in different shapes. Your girlfriend, the meal that you have today. This is, you see, I'm enjoying. I am the enjoyer. I'm the controller. And then people are supposed to play the game alongside. They are supposed to click likes, and this is their puja. They worship you. They are glorifying your sense enjoyment. And this is just, if you think about it, this is just the opposite of what we are supposed to be thinking and doing as devotees. We're supposed to Hrishikena Hrishikesha Sevanam Bhakti Uchite. We're supposed to participate, to serve, to assist in Krishna's enjoyment. And Krishna is supposed to be in the center. So you see, they don't explicitly tell you this. They don't tell, okay, now we're going to give you, the Hare Krishna people, we're going to give you something, and you're going to like it. And just the opposite of what you guys have been taught since day one in this movement. We're going to turn it upside down. They don't tell you this. But that's what they're doing to you. And we can use these things in devotional service. Srila Prabhupada did use, not social media, but different technology. But we should be aware that we are kind of, so to speak, we are swimming against the current, because naturally it will bring you to a different place, different space. That's how it is designed. That's why they make these things. Another problem I've noticed over the years with social media, it's more philosophical one, maybe more subtle. People post not just their pictures, but also texts, messages, written testimonies. And it is built in such a way that all of these texts, they end up in the same place, the same space. So that means, let's say you have a statement from Srila Vyasadeva, which is absolute truth. And then you have statement from Srila Prabhupada, Again, absolute reality. But then a little later, when you scroll down, on the same space, on the same screen, it appears statement by some mundane person. He may be a good guy, but he's a mundane person. His statements are not absolute. And then if you scroll a little down, then there will perhaps appear statement from your grandmother or something completely. We all love these people, but there is difference between absolute and relative truths. The problem is that they appear on the same space. So gradually over time, we may be prone to think that, well, see, these are just different wise people. You know, you have Prabhupada, he's a wise man, and you have Lord Kṛṣṇa, he's also a wise man. So they are on the same level. Therefore, when we give Bhagavatam class, when we listen Bhagavatam class, there is particular setup. The speaker of Bhagavatam, he sits on the elevated platform. Why? Because he is supposed to be a representative of Srila Vyasadeva. He is representative of the Guru Parampara, the absolute reality. Shabda Pramana, Shabda Brahma is supposed to flow through him. And when we hear, we listen on the lower platform. That signifies something. That means we are supposed to humbly receive the knowledge and try to apply it in our life. So there is a hierarchy of sound vibration. Social media mixes everything together. It's all one. Everything becomes relative. That's not a problem. You see, they don't tell you that explicitly. Now we're gonna mess up with your pramana tattva, you know. That's our plan. But in a subtle way, they do it. Again, because there is no morally neutral technology. It imbibes the value system of the people who came up with it. Another thing I've noticed over the years is that some devotees, they become acquainted with Shastra through social media, mainly, which is sounds funny and strange, but I think it's reality to some extent. And instead of just studying or at least reading Prabhupada's books or the works of the Acharyas, they just read something online. Somebody quoted something from Prabhupada or from Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and that's what they know about it, about the subject matter. Every day there is a nice quote. Every day there is a quote by Srila Prabhupada, let's say. It's very nice. However, there is a danger that if you don't actually read the books, then you may take this out of context. You may have imperfect, unreliable, unwholesome picture of what actually Srila Prabhupada is teaching. I'll give you one example. There is, I saw one quote from Bhaktivinoda Thakur floating somewhere, and people just getting excited over it. Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he says that, I'm going to paraphrase it, if you go to a place of worship which is different from yours, so we enter a temple, not Christian temple, but some other place that's other people worship God, then a Gaudiya Vaishnava should think they're worshipping my God here, the same God, the same Krishna is worshipped there, but they do it in different way. So this is the quote, and people are excited, and yeah, we are all inclusive, and we like everyone, and everybody is welcome. However, if you read the work by Bhaktivinoda Thakur, the very next paragraph says the next statement, the next thing what Acharya says is, however, if we see that there is a flaw, a mistake in this inherent flaw in this way of worship, it should be pointed out. So this is not quoted there. Somehow Only the first part. The first part got quoted. And so, what is the inherent flow? What could that be? And why should we, for example, anyway, why should we be very, very tolerant and appreciative? At the same time, we should know what is what. In other words, it shouldn't be based on this tribal mentality, this sectarian mentality. That, okay, you're different from me, that means you're necessarily evil. No, they're worshipping the same God. However, they may worship Krishna in a mayavad, impersonal way. So this should be pointed out. So, in this way, we see how this asat sangha, this materialistic association, can take different shapes. Forms can be direct, can be indirect, and we should be careful. Therefore, we are every day we are taking our medicine, reading, hearing about the great examples of the great people, the great devotees, and this is a story. It's called the marriage of Kardama Muni and Devahuti. It's a story. Bhagavatam, it's a story. It is a story inside the story, and inside the story there are many layers of stories. And this is the original story of the universe. We know that in the beginning, when there was just Brahma, then the Lord told Bhagavatam in 4 verses, Chaturshloki Bhagavatam. So this is the original sound vibration in the whole universe. So when the consciousness is pure, and then the sound vibration coming from Krishna enters, like in the case of Brahma, he heard Krishna's flute, and then it came out Gayatri. So it's still pure. It's even enhanced. However, when the pure vibration coming from Krishna enters the contaminated consciousness, then becomes perverted. So this is the origin of all other stories. People call them nowadays narratives. So there are different narratives. And people recognize the importance of these narratives and stories because they shape our consciousness. They explain what is what. We make sense out of this world through stories. And it very much depends what kind of story you will take, you will accept as your guide, as your GPS to navigate. It very much depends what kind of person you'll be. So depending on which story you believe in and you accept, this is who you are. Throughout human history, we have seen how powerful narratives and stories they created revolutions, wars. We know the story about the American dream. It's a story. People believed in this story, and they shaped their life accordingly. In Bhagavatam, this is called Shruti Sukhat. The happiness we heard about, it doesn't really exist, material happiness. We know, Al Brahma Bhuvana Loka Punara Vartina Arjuna. Krishna explains there is no happy place in this material universe. However, people bought into these stories that there is happiness here, and we also. That's why we are here. And they shape their life accordingly. Therefore, we are hearing the original story, the story that tells us we are pure spirit souls, and Krishna is our best friend. He is the source of everything. By connecting our lives to Him, by serving Him, we will be actually happy. So this is what we are supposed to believe, and we're supposed to shape our life accordingly. And here we are hearing these stories, how the great devotees, they manage their lives, even their personal lives. We're hearing how they're getting married, how they have children, how they raise their children, how they're getting their children married. Here, Svāyambhuva Manu just gave his daughter in marriage to a great sage, Kṛṣṇa Muni. And we are supposed to also to try to shape, what was the word Srila Prabhupada was, to mold our life accordingly. And while hearing these spiritual narratives, stories, the absolute story, the original story, about Krishna and his loving devotees, Bhagavatam explains that Ayurharati vaipum sam udyan astancha yanasao tasyayati at kshano nitya uttama shloka vartaya. While hearing Bhagavatam, we are beyond time. Bhagavatam explains that with the sunrise and sunset, the sun, or the time factor, takes away our lifespan. With one exception. If you use your time to hear about Uttama Shloka, about the Lord and His pure devotees. Otherwise, we are very prone to claim our time. You wake up in the morning and you feel, I'm the rightful proprietor of the next 24 hours of time. I'm the owner. It's my time. But we know, Srila Prabhupada explains, he gives the example of this person who was about to die, and he requested the physician, please give me just, I need 4 years more. We think we own the time, we can control the time. It's my time. But this is a ridiculous claim. It's not ours. It is pure gift given to us. We are put in this body, Pumsareta, Kanashraya. Bhagavatam explains, what was this verse? Jantur dehopapatyate, karmana daiva netrena. So we are put in this place, nobody asked us, but we just woke up one day and we are, okay, here you are in this body. And then you're given a certain amount of time and you'll be extracted from this body also. So, time is not ours, but we claim the time as we try to claim everything. So if you claim the time, then time will be taken away from you. But if you don't claim the time, then Uttama Shloka Vartaya, then you're not under the control of time, because you never, on the first place, you never said that's my time. So when we listen about great devotees, then we are beyond time, and also Bhagavatam explains we are free of envy, at least for the time being, when we hear Bhagavatam. So it's the best thing to do in life. And here we just heard how Kṛṣṇa Muni married Devahuti. Svāyambhuva Manu was he was happy. At the same time he was sad because there was separation between him and his beloved daughter, and the father is very, very attached to the daughter normally. And we saw Svāyambhuva Manu was overwhelmed with emotions. But then a little later we read this verse, and then we see how he already spreads the kuśas and kāśas and worships the Lord. In other words, he performs his duties. So there is a place, we all humans, and there is natural flow of emotions. And in Bhagavad Gita, Srila Prabhupada explains that to have attachment, affection for your wife and children, this is natural. However, this attachment shouldn't be excessive. What is the meaning of excessive? That means it will cover your devotion service. In other words, you will stop performing your duties. This is excessive attachment. Here we see how Manu went through these emotions, which is natural, but then later he continued with his duties. And a little later we will hear in this chapter how he acted in such a way, he performed such devotional service that with such intensity that Prabhupada explains in the Purports, he was not affected by the threefold miseries. The threefold miseries are there. However, if we are absorbed in devotional service, our consciousness will not be affected. And this is very, very, at least for me, it's far out. It's so amazing. The method used by Ashtanga yogis is different. They try to minimize the input coming from the body and the mind. This is how they try to work out this problem of threefold miseries. They follow some moral rules so that they don't feel guilty that they did anything wrong. And then they sit in asana, they do pranayama. So the body is not a source of misery anymore, at least to big extent. And then they can peacefully, as much as possible, concentrate the mind. This is their method, but the method of bhakti is different. We are trying to directly to connect with the source of all pleasure and bliss, Anandamaya Purusha. And then we are supposed to experience such intense jolt of happiness and spiritual bliss that we don't notice anymore the threefold miseries. It's a different approach. So much so that in Bhagavatam 11th canto there is a verse which explains that, gives analogy. Just like people who are completely intoxicated, they are drunkards. They are not aware whether they are dressed or naked. They don't know anymore. In the same way, persons who, great devotees who are already on the level of bhava and prema, they are not so much concerned about their material body. They are not even aware anymore. I'll give you a rather heavy example. I think it works. I have a friend. We went together in the same school, and we're from the same village. So a little later in life, he became very prone to intoxication, even to this very day. So he likes drinking. So once he told me that I saw him once, and I saw that this big scar here, terrible. I asked him, what happened to you? He told me, I was drunk, and it was winter time, so I was so drunk I fell on the stove, and it was burning, and I was so drunk I didn't notice until he started, smoke started coming, and then he, I think, I'm not even sure, somebody moved him away or something. So imagine if you are so much intoxicated by Krishna consciousness that you don't notice such intense pain. You will not notice it. It sounds fantastic, but this is what Bhagavatam says. It is possible if we get absorbed in Krishna. So we are getting this very precious opportunity to hear about the greatest personalities in the universe, take inspiration from their perfect examples, and we should be very careful about materialistic association, no matter whether it is direct or indirect. By hearing about Krishna, we'll be on time, and following this process will be so much in bliss and happiness that we will not notice even how the material life will just pass by, and we will not notice the threefold miseries. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Please, if you want to share something, questions or comments.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you for that class. It was a very good reminder about how in the material society, people are day and night hearing stories. Stories from news, stories from celebrities, stories on TV that are imaginary fiction stories. All they do is hear stories, and when they hear and see these stories, it shows in the stories, people are eating dead animals. People are so anxious for wealth or for bodily sex. And as you said, they want to shape their lives from the stories they hear. This is happening, and you have reminded us that that's what we are trying to compete with and get the society to rise above. What a challenge. We don't control the TVs, the movies, the literatures, but actually, if we do mass book distribution of Bhagavad Gita, and especially the Krishna books, gradually it will have a permanent impact and change. But right now, you've reminded us very nicely how stories are turning people into dogs, hogs, camels, and asses. Hare Krishna. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Rameshwar Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Yes. Yes, Prabhu.
Just a small comment that also this example that you gave with your friend, it reminded me of also Krishna saying in the Bhagavad Gita, apuryamanam samuttamapi bhavishanti yatva tattva kama bhavishanti sarva shantin apnu.
Shantim nakama kama.
That we have all these constant desires coming in to our mind, but we are engaged in Krishna consciousness, we become like the ocean, and all these desires can flow in, but we just remain in peace. We are not affected by all the desires. But it was also a very lively example that you gave. I really appreciated that.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes.
There's just one more thing I wanted to add, which is from this purport. Every now and then, Srila Prabhupada, when he writes a purport, he gives us a vision of the whole future of this 10,000-year golden age. And he did that in this purport. We may not see it in our lifetime physically, this life, but what Prabhupada wrote was astonishing. He says, when such acknowledgement, meaning whatever you have, you acknowledge where it comes from God. When such acknowledgement is given, either by a family, a nation, or a society, their abode becomes almost like Vaikuntha. And it becomes free from the operation of the threefold miseries of the material world. In the modern age, the mission of Krishna consciousness is for everyone to acknowledge. Prabhupada's talking about how the mission of this Krishna consciousness movement is to create on earth an abode almost like Vaikuntha.
Yeah.
It's going to happen, but it's just the way he wrote it, where the threefold miseries are held back. And that's Vaikuntha. And Prabhupada said that is the mission of this Krishna consciousness movement, to change the society through the acknowledgement of everything comes from God into that type of Vaikuntha-like world. So he's telling us this is going to happen in the course of this 10,000-year golden age period. Really amazing sentences in this purport about that. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. I also remember, Prabhu, that I think after a Rath Yatra somewhere in America, Prabhupada gave an address, and then he said that if you boys and girls continue chanting, this earth will become Vaikuntha. So similar statement. Thank you. Mataji wants to say something.
As you get older, you become very aware of the time factor that is going very fast. And even though you follow the process very sincerely, you cannot speed up your realizations and how do you get rid of the anxiety of time passing by and the slowness of your advancement?
I didn't get the last one, Mataji.
How do you get rid of the anxiety that between the time factor and how slow your advancement is?
Okay. When I get over this anxiety, I can share how I got over. I'm still not over it myself. But in a sense, it's a good anxiety. It shows that you are sincere and you want to advance as quickly as possible. What can I say? It is sometimes we have to be put in a difficult situation in order to muster our all bhakti and whatever we have and to pray to Krishna. Maybe in my own life, when I'm in such situations, this is what I try to meditate, that maybe now this is, Krishna doesn't want me to be complacent, because when everything is okay, then I am just performing my duty in a very casual mood. But when you are in a difficult situation, you know this verse from Bhagavatam, Fama kinchana gocharam. Only those who are materially exhausted, only they can call out with full sincerity to the Lord. And they don't have plan B. No anything, completely helpless, just like Ajamila was calling out to Narayana, to his son, to the Lord. So that's what I'm trying to work out this problem in my own life. So I try to see it in this way. You couldn't practice with intensity, and now you're put in a situation you're forced to be very sincere.
You're telling me that that's a kind of spiritual anxiety?
Yes. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. You gave a very insightful analysis, Krishna conscious analysis of the social media. So, what would you advise, or what's your take on social media for devotees? What is it? Is it useful, or in what ways is it useful, and when it's not useful? Like, if you can.
Yes.
Yeah.
Another thing is we see some devotees who are preaching online, and they are very, they get a lot of crowds. It seems as though if you remove the mobile phone from their lives, their entire devotional service is gone. So yeah, so in that aspect also, if you can say something.
Okay. It's a lot of complicated questions, but of course it's useful, and we see I'm using it too. I think almost all the devotees are using it. I have YouTube channel myself, but we should be careful, because the technology itself, it's not devotionally, it's not made by devotees for devotees, it's made by materialists for materialists, so we should be at least aware. And I think the expert, the Acharya on this topic is Navina Nirada Prabhu. He has very good insights about how to use your phone properly, and he advises that there is this airplane mode option. Use it more often. Maybe after 9 in the morning and before 6 in the evening. So that's something I'm trying to do. So there is certain amount of time when you are online, and then the rest of the time you focus on your duty. And so, Pramikash Prabhu wants to say something.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you for the wonderful class. I just wanted to add on what you said earlier, based on what Mataji was saying. Just wanted to share something. Asking about time and saying that there's anxiety that I may not be advanced, etc. Actually, Krishna provides an answer to this question in the Bhagavad Gita. He says that whatever state of mind one achieves at the time of death, that whatever state of mind one is at the state of time of death, that state he will achieve in the next life. We may not feel advanced in this particular life, but if we continuously chant and at the end of life we remember Krishna, then that is advancement. You know, in the meantime, we shouldn't be so anxious about whether we become impure or not. Krishna gives the whole thing and says, Lord Chaitanya says, always remember Krishna and never forget Krishna. And this whole thing is based on Antinarayana Smriti, that at the end of death one should remember Narayan. In the meantime, we continue chanting Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much. Krishna is very merciful, so this is our solace. Prabhu wanted to say something.
Thank you, Prabhu. You have brought out a very good point, the role of social media. It is said to say, those who are really very active in this social media, I see their personal sadhana is not so good. And they do not get on the ground to do service. They just superficially in the social media and preaching, talking. Of course, it's very easy to talk, to preach, but to practice.
Bhaktivedanta Maharaj said once, because somebody was praising him, you gave wonderful class. Maharaj said, to give nice class, that's the easiest thing. It's very easy to give nice class. But what you actually do in your life, practically.
Agree with you, Prabhu.
Yeah. Prabhu want to say something?
If I may, just a final comment about your question about social media. We're taught in Krishna consciousness to always be thinking what we should accept and what we should reject. So there's no escaping social media. It's non-stop bombardment. If you have a phone, it's non-stop bombardment. So what do you accept? My favorite social media is when there is a kirtan party anywhere in the world, or someone like Kadamba Kanana Maharaj's kirtan is being played. I will just focus on those types of social media videos, nothing else. I can be completely satisfied watching devotees in Russia freezing to death chanting Hare Krishna in public, or in Israel or anywhere else. So that you can accept. And the other nonsense, you have to be very, very strong and reject. So it has its place. People used to criticize Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, you're driving in a car. There's no escaping cars. But are you using the car for Krishna? So that became the theme of how to use things in the material world for Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much. Dear devotees, thank you very much for your kind attention. Soon, with this gentleman, we are going back to New York to continue our preaching work. So please bless us to be instruments in the mercy of Srila Prabhupada. Granth Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Jai Nitai Gaur Premanande. All glories to the Sangha devotees.